Hello, intuitive art friends. It's Rachel Archelaus with Carrie Roldan,
Hello.
and we're going to talk about potential today. So, if you have any comments, you can put them wherever you are, and we'll be able to see them here, which is very fun. And I'm I'm thinking about potential in a lot of different ways because I'm kind of in more of an art world. I see young musicians and writers and visual artists, and I think, wow, like you can feel when somebody has something, and that's an awesome thing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about ourselves. But Carrie is in the athletic world and coaches young athletes, so I'd love to hear her take on that too. And like, how do you know, like, what does it show up as? What do you do to help someone in that case to live into their potential? So I kind of want to start with you, Carrie, because I'm fascinated.
Well, I when you gave me this topic today, I was so excited because when I very first, so my journey into athletic coaching was just that I was an athlete and then in high school and then became an athlete in college and then finished college and was like, I don't know who I am without practice. And so I started coaching. I was an assistant coach. That was interesting, actually. I was assistant coach for a boys team. Um, and learned a ton, but also just sort of went in like being who I was and doing what I did. And then switched over to coaching, being a head coach of a girls team. And it was before one of our banquets. And I wrote a letter about what that I was coaching cross country and track. This was for the track banquet. And I wrote a letter about what track and field was really all about. And because in track, I was not the head coach, I was the distance coach. So I was an assistant track coach. And I wasn't going to get like a big opportunity to speak. And so I wanted to make sure that each of the athletes felt seen and heard and valued and heard what I had to say. And so I wrote this sort of standard letter. And I didn't know at the time that I felt this way about the sport until I sat down to write the letter. And it was like, this sport is bigger than the sport, right? And what you learn here is more than, run, jump, throw. But that ultimately everything that we're doing here, right, is about helping you to get in touch with, to understand, to believe in, and to reach your potential, right? Your potential as a leader, your potential as an athlete, your potential for just the amount of pain that you can endure or the amount of work that you can put in, right? All of that. And so I find this is like my favorite topic, one of my favorite topics, um, just because all of us feel it. All of us feel it. We, and I think maybe that's where we need to start, Rachel, in the conversation is what is it? When we're talking about like, what's your potential? Or, as a coach, when I see potential in other people, whether it's as an athletic coach or as a business coach, right? Like, I can look into someone's soul and see it and feel it. And I think we can all do that inside of ourselves as well. It's what we call potential that is really an interesting thing, right? We kind of look at, instead of just looking into someone's soul and seeing and feeling the potential, what we tend to do is like have a checklist of uh, capacities, right? What we see potential as our potential is actually uh, self-imposed limits. So I'll stop there and see what you have to say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it is hard to put into words, but I think for me, potential is, well, the feeling is knowing and feeling that there is more to experience, maybe higher levels of refinement and discernment that I can attain, better skill, right? Even my earning potential, like more to accumulate, bigger impact, that whole idea that we are more already because we're able to feel it. than we currently allow ourselves to realize. So we're just more than we currently realize. To me, that's what potential is.
Yeah. Most people, when they're asking about, like, hey, coach, what do you see as my potential, right? They want to know, what do you think I'm capable of? What is the maximum of my capacity, right? And so that is what is so fun, is when dealing with this, is to recognize that is continuously expanding.
Yeah.
Like, that is what's so cool. You know, I'm going to use a cheesy running story. It's not a cheesy running story. It's an amazing running story, but it's like the Roger Bannister 4-minute mile. Like, everyone believed it was beyond human potential, right? It was beyond human capacity to run faster than 4 minutes in the mile, right? To run a sub 4-minute mile, and done. And I just think,
Yeah. And then everyone kept proving it again, but it took that one person who had the allowance, the belief that they could do it, to then let those other peoples have that belief that they could do it. So I love
and
that.
be willing to push the limits.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm sure he had a belief that he could do it, but like, there were doctors saying, if you do that, you will die.
Oh, wow.
Right. Like, your heart will explode.
Oh my
Like,
God.
human beings cannot do that.
Mm.
We don't have the capacity. If we get to that, there's a line, right? There's a line. And if you try and cross it, you will die. And so what I love about sort of this exploring the idea of our potential is like, but what if we don't? But what if we like, but what if we just, what if that line's imaginary? What if what we think we're capable of is just the beginning of what we're capable of?
Yeah.
And that's what I like and potential is, you know, maybe, I don't know. There's so many different ways that we can talk about this, Rachel, but one of the things that I see, this is in my clients, but it's easier to talk about for me in terms of the athletes that I coach, is potential is only part of a much bigger equation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, if we're talking about potential in terms of me as a coach, looking at someone's capacity, watching somebody's stride, watching the effortlessness with which they run, looking at, you know, their physical strength, like all of that, looking, like, actually gauging what their lungs are capable of doing, like their VO2 max, like looking at all of these things, and on paper knowing this person could potentially run this fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also knowing that under certain conditions, given that they put in the work, given
Mm-hmm.
that they have the right attitude, given that they want to, given that they, like, if we're talking about racing, given that they're competitive, like, you know, I can look at someone with so much potential, so much talent, so much, like, inherent desire, who just doesn't have a competitive bone in their body, right? Like, there's
Yeah,
all
I
sorts of
know.
things that sort of play into that equation. So when you talk about the word potential, it's kind of, it feels a little bit intangible, I think.
Yeah. And Elaine just asked, actually, here we go. What is it that you see in someone that they can't see for themselves? So, I mean, you just talked about that in an athletic sense of like, you can't always gauge that for yourself, you know, especially if you haven't been around others, if you haven't been put to the test yet. But a coach can really easily see, wow, look at their form. I could see it from here. Look at all those other things that you mentioned. But when it comes to working with people, you know, one of the first things that I notice about someone is their energy, of course, and what that energy is saying to me is usually something that they're not super aware of, you know. And I can tell, like, if someone comes to me and they don't have a business yet, um, they want one or whatever, like, I can kind of tell how hard it will be for them based on how they present themselves. But it's funny because it doesn't matter if they're outgoing or shy or willing to do the work or not. It's more like, do they, like you're saying, do they have that clarity of mind to make it an easier path. You can have so much resistance and yet have um, so much raw talent for whatever it is you're doing. But it's the people who actually will line up with it, line up with the journey, that those are the people who succeed. And it's just like when you were mentioning the athleticism, I was like, Michael Jordan, short, not naturally that talented, but worked every single day because that was fun for him. He wasn't out there grinding. When you're starting a business or something, or just trying to break into something completely new in any realm, the practice is going to be what is helping you get there, gain your confidence, build whatever you need to build, make the connections. But that's also going to be where your joy is if you're in alignment with it. So yeah, what do you see when someone comes to you? Do you see these things?
Well, yes. Okay, so even athletically, there's something that is in the energy of a champion. Like, this is one of my favorite things to do with young athletes, and then I'm going to talk about my business clients. But with young athletes is and I love this about my sport is because it's an individual sport that's played in a team context. But like, my joy is in helping someone reach their potential. So, someone who comes and can barely run 3 miles as a freshman and is like, I don't know, say pushing hard to run 10-minute miles, and then by the time that they're a senior, they're leading the charge, and they have cared enough and found enough joy in it and recognized, ooh, if I do this little by little, I get better and better. And I like getting better and better. And, oh, if I didn't think I would ever be able to run that fast. And here I am doing it mile after mile. And then watching them, as a senior, maybe make the varsity team, or for sure they're running 7-minute miles instead of 10-minute miles. Like, that is so rewarding, right? And so there's a spark of something in that person. It's amazing when there's a spark of something in someone who doesn't know what they have, right? Like, that is joy. That is so fun. And to help them recognize what they have and then literally run with it is amazing. But that's the same thing that happens with all my business coaching clients, with the people that Rachel and I serve in terms of just people who want to live amazing lives, right? Is I have a story from one of my clients who I remember, she came to me after she had been to several different business coaches, and she had written a book, and she had done some pretty substantial things in her business. And we were having like our first conversation, and I just said, oh, you have a viable business on your hands. And it was sort of nonchalant that I said that to her. And it was like this wave of relief came over her, because she had sensed inside of her that this was a real thing that she could do. But up until that point, it had been a hobby. It had been a money loser. It had been, I think, something that people said, oh, this is going to be sort of a tough uphill slog for you. Like, I'm not sure if there's really a market for what you're doing, right? But she had this desire, right? And she could see it. She could play it out in her head. And so this is the answer to the question, is like, it's that I think Rachel and I are just able to see whatever energy that you bring, and whatever you've got in your head that you really, really want. Like, it is apparent. It's not just apparent to me and Rachel. It's apparent to the world that is possible for you. And the thing that actually holds most of us back is the stories that other people have told us. Right. So just like Michael Jordan, people being, I'm like, you're too short, dude. Maybe hope for the JV high school team. And he's like, I'm going to be the greatest that ever was. Right. It's the same with this woman in her business. Like, she just needed someone. I was lucky enough to be me, but someone to say, no, this is real. You can do this. Right. Like, that was it. And so it's that spark inside of Michael Jordan. It's that idea inside of this client of mine. It's that idea that's living inside of you, that like too good to be true, what if scenario that is real. You couldn't experience that too good to be true, what if feeling if it wasn't within your own personal field of potential. And maybe that's what everybody needs to hear today.
Yeah, I know. And like you said, the people around you already know you and what you're capable of, even if they're not saying it on a regular basis, even if they give you a hard time sometimes. You are radiating your real truth more than you think you are, and you're probably the last one to know. I mean, even me, I've been fascinated by this topic my entire life. I've done amazing things. People tell me all the time, like, oh, you're like 3 people or something. And it's funny because I still can see the bigness that I want to be and the bigness I'm capable of. And sometimes I still think, gosh, why is it taking so long? Or why am I there? But really, I'm just walking the path, and the people around me can see the bigness too. And there's a less of a gap to other people than there is to me. And I think that's always going to be the case. You're probably going to feel farther behind than you really are. And one of the best ways to further step into your potential is to realize that you're already there. You are already a future version of yourself, right? That you were looking to a couple years ago and saying, gosh, I wish I was there. Gosh, I want to be that person. Well, you are that person. So take a moment, take a day, take 10 minutes a day to celebrate yourself and recognize where you are. We can feel like we're just on this treadmill going, but we're not on this path to achieve. We're on this path to feel good, to feel relaxed, to feel like we're doing something meaningful and worthwhile. And we're the only ones who can feel that. No one else can feel that for us. So if you aren't feeling great, what are you doing anything for, right? So try to relax. It's hard for me too. It's hard for me to remember that sometimes. So that's the first practice I would recommend if you want to feel more like you're living your potential. Because you already are. It will never stop. It will always expand. Like Carrie is saying, it's always going to keep going. So get in the practice of appreciating that you've already done so much and you are not as far behind or you're in the perfect spot right now, right?
You just knew I had something to say, didn't you? Yes, and behave like the person that you want to become. I think a big thing, a lot of us adults, like, look at our lives. I don't know, maybe I was the only one who felt this way, but I really did believe that once I graduated college, I would be a grown-up. Like, I thought, okay, I have my education. This is it. I know it all now. Like, okay, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to get all the A's. I'm going to graduate from college and I'm going to be a grown-up. And it was sort of this rude awakening to be like, oh, I'm still growing. Oh, it seems so ridiculous now that at 22 years old, I would like have it all together. But I did think that. And then I really did think like, okay, well, by 30 for sure, I'll have, I had a list of like stuff that I wanted to accomplish by 30. And the thing about that is, like, a lot of those things were big things to accomplish, and I did them, and I'm proud of them. But the bigger question is always, who do I want to be? And that is not always about what do I want to accomplish. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it's I want to be someone who blah, 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 blah. And I want to be someone who drives a Tesla and lives in a mansion, and right? Like, but then the deeper question is, how does that person feel? Right? Because that's what we're really looking for. But the reason I'm saying that is because one of my Facebook friends today, someone who helps people grow their businesses, posted something that said, if you had unlimited resources, and I was like, well, we all do. We all already have unlimited resources. But it was like, if you had unlimited resources and money and people, what would your business look like? That's what she was asking. And I was like, exactly what it looks like right now. like exactly what it looks like right now. And that's how you know when you're living into your potential, when you're behaving like the person that you want to become. And so I think that's the challenge that we have for ourselves, is to not look at our lives and be like, oh, if only, right? If I would have gone to the right college, if I would have married the right guy, if I would have, like, oh, my dogs are going to bark now, is not look at our lives and be like, oh, I'm 20 pounds over. I guess I had the potential to be a supermodel, but it's too late now. I'm 20 pounds overweight, or whatever the story that you're telling yourself, and recognize, I'm going to behave like the person that I want to become today, now, in this moment. And so if you still want to be a supermodel, like, awesome. Start behaving like her now. Start taking care of yourself like her now. Start doing, like, I think that's the biggest misnomer. And I love those. Every once in a while we get Facebook posts like that go viral that talk about Colonel Sanders didn't even start Kentucky Fried Chicken until whenever, and Oprah didn't, like, all of these amazing people who we think like, wow, that's the pinnacle of potential. They didn't just, like, graduate college and then suddenly they were the amazing version of themselves that we know them as. They were continually growing, continually expanding, continually asking themselves, how can I be more of what I want right now? And so that, I think, is really what potential is all about.
Yeah. And I have two things to say. One is, you are a genius and you don't know what's going to hit with the world. So if there's something you want to do, just do it. Like Carrie's saying, do it. Do it. Doesn't matter what the feedback is. Just keep doing it. I've been watching a lot of older videos about my grunge music, and the same story keeps popping up. The most popular song, the song that broke them out, the record that sold millions of copies, is the one that they were just like, oh yeah, I just made that. I made that in 10 minutes. I recorded that in 15 minutes. I was writing that and I was like, yeah, whatever. Somebody walked by and said, oh my God, no, play that again. That's a song. Make that a song. And so, whether you're a writer and any kind of artist, a business person, whether you think you are anything at all or not, there's something in you that just feels right. You enjoy petting cats, you enjoy writing songs, you enjoy climbing trees. That's important, and that's part of your potential. If there's something that you enjoy doing, do it and do more of it and do as much as you can of what feels good to you. Don't continually judge everything that you're doing in your brain, because it's the feeling part that is connected to your expansion, right? Again, we're not here for like any other reason than to feel good. And so whatever you do that does feel good is a big, big, big part. It's the only reason why you're here, but it's a part of you allowing in the more. And sometimes it's not going to feel like your best work, because you know what? It probably isn't going to be something that you toil over. It's just going to be something that comes from you naturally, because you're naturally a genius. So there's that, because I know we have a lot of overanalyzers in our group. But also, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stagnant, if you're not feeling like, wow, I'm really rolling, this is really great, it's probably because you've expanded beyond your current life. I just went through that this week where I was like, damn, I'm overwhelmed. What is happening here? I rarely feel like that. I love the go, go, go. Besides, I have plenty of free time in my life. But I just felt like every day was like, how am I going to get this done? Time is racing by. I don't have enough resources to get all this stuff, even though I want to do it all. And I realized, oh, I've grown beyond some things here, and I'm still trying to fit them in. I want to live this life, but I'm trying to live this life and this life. That doesn't work. And so I spent the day yesterday really feeling into all the things that were on my to-do list, and realizing that 2 of the videos I shot, I wasn't excited about them. They weren't really what I want to put out right now. So I didn't need to edit them, and I didn't need to make a thumbnail, and that freed up some time. and I didn't need to get this assignment done because it really wasn't that important and I was just doing it out of obligation. And as I really weeded through that list, I thought, well, I can delegate this and I don't need to do that. And that's what is possible for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have an assistant or not, or you don't have to hand in your homework. Like, if you've expanded beyond your current life, it's only because you've also allowed the way there. So again, don't overanalyze. Don't try to make meaning out of everything. Just ask yourself, what would I really prefer to be doing right now? And know that there is a way that that can be true for you.
I just want to say that yes to all of it. And I remember that happened for me as well, this expanding beyond your current life. And I remember that was terrifying for me. I remember when you would say you've grown beyond this, I thought that it meant that I had to give it up, right? That I had to like discard my current life and the people and things in it that I really loved. And I didn't. I didn't at all. So I just want to tell you guys that, like, when we're talking about you've grown beyond your current life, it just means you've evolved into the better and better that you're asking for, and you have to allow it. You have to make room to allow it. And that often means, I use the phrase behaving like the person that I want to become, but right, it means not putting up with things that you've been putting up with. And like you were saying, Rachel, not doing things that aren't in alignment anymore out of obligation or whatever. I'm saying this because I felt that. I remember that feeling of like, I've grown beyond this life. Well, shit. Like now, like crap. Do I have to get rid of all these things in my life that I do? I remember really, I had a ton of resistance around outgrowing my life. And so I want to speak from experience here and recognize when we're talking about moving into your potential, it's about like, just like the way you were talking about, like, oh, I don't have to do this, or it's like shedding old skin. What emerges is beautiful and shiny and wonderful. And you do not have to get rid of, just because you've outgrown your life doesn't mean you have to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it'll mean still going to work.
Oh, yeah.
Still doing the majority of the things that you were doing before, but maybe in a different way. And I found, so one of the last jobs that I ever worked, I went in there and I was a whiz. They were like, how are you doing all this stuff? How are you this organized? It's because I was excited about it. It was fun. Like, I had the energy. It was alignment. And I enjoyed the people. I mean, it was nice. And then it wasn't so nice, right? We all get to that point where we're over it. It's, we have expanded. So the energy is not really there anymore. And I remember a temp coming in, and because I don't know if I was going to leave or something happened, but I wasn't going to be working there anymore. And the temp came in and kind of like did what I did at the beginning, cleaned the whole office up. I mean, everything was running smoothly again. And I hadn't realized how slow I'd gotten and how disorganized and just how different I was from the beginning. And it's because my energy wasn't really there anymore. And so my productivity went down, everything went down. And it's just an interesting thing to see. Like, you're capable of so much more, but it depends on your energy. It depends on your alignment. And you can't really fake that. As much as I've tried, you can't fake that because the ease is in the energy. And I got to see that firsthand when this girl like did all this work, and I'm like, oh my God, how did you do all that like in a day? And she's like, oh, well, it was easy. I have extra time now too. Like, it was incredible. And, that's been happening to me this week. Everything was just piling up and took longer. And I was like, oh, this isn't right. And luckily I can recognize that now because my life is so full of ease and flow and everything gets done and whatever. But you might have been in that phase for a long time. Some people stay in this phase for their whole life. And so it's just good to know that if you are overwhelmed, if you are feeling stagnant or things are hard or you have too much to do, it's not because you did anything wrong. It's just because you're trying to do two different lives at the same time. So like Carrie says, nothing really has to change that's big, but try to untangle yourself from the things that no longer feel good. You don't have to do it all in one day, but you'll start to feel the relief first and then the excitement, like, oh, I have this time now. I can actually choose what I want to do. And it just goes up from there. But before Carrie says anything, I want to tell you guys we have an event coming up that can help you with this completely. I'm going to send out an email about it, but if you want to go check it out, we have another video that could be really helpful to you. And you can go to aligneduplevel.com and watch that other video if this is a topic that's interesting to you.
And it is. And you guys need to come. So aligneduplevel.com, because we are going to be marinating in the energy of our potential, of your potential, of we are going to be up leveling right together for 3 days in a row. It's Rachel and I are so excited about it. Like, we can't wait. Rachel, a long time ago in this conversation, you said you are a genius. And I want to underscore that. There was other things that were coming up as you were talking, but this is just hitting me right now. That you, Rachel, and you watching, you are a freaking magical genius at something. You are so good at it. You are so at ease in whatever it is that you don't even know. And I'm going to tell you one of my geniuses that I'm so good at it and so magical at it that I don't even know. Right? I mean, I know now, but like I need to be reminded that it's a thing and that it actually like really, really helps people. And so for me, there's 3 words that I feel like if someone, that's not even about me necessarily, but like if I had to narrow down my purpose in 3 words, right? They would be encourage, inspire, and uplift. Like, and honestly, not that those things aren't unimportant, but like as geniuses go, you know, it's easy for me to look around and be like, ooh, I wish I had that genius. Like, I'm just an encourager. Like, all I really do is say good job to people. All I really do is say, keep going. All I really do is say, hey, you're awesome. Right? Like, when it comes down to what I do. Now, of course, I have a gift of being able to see the awesome in you. And I think that's something that I'm learning. Oh, I can see the awesome in you that in anyone that maybe you haven't acknowledged. Maybe you're hoping, praying that you even have that awesome. And I see it naturally and say it out loud to you, and that makes a difference. But regardless, my genius is encourage, inspire, uplift. And for so long, I was like, how do I make my genius turn into money? How do I make my genius turn into money? Like, I was all over and over again. I want my dream life where I don't have to work very hard and the work that I do feels amazing. And all I really want to do is encourage, inspire, and uplift, right? Like, that was sort of my, and that is too good to be true. Like, that was my whole thing. Like, all I really want to do is show up and be awesome. I want to encourage, inspire, uplift. I want to make boatloads of money doing it. And I don't really want to have to, like, I don't know, market a lot or I don't want to do hard work is basically where I was. And that's too good to be true. And that can't be done. You have to have more. Like, that was the story that I told. And luckily for me, I had Rachel who just kept gently and lovingly sort of pulling away the layers of, what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't too good to be true? But what if you could? But what if you didn't have to figure out how? Right? That's the biggest one. What if you didn't have to figure out how? What if all you had to do is continue to show up and be awesome in all of the ways that feel good, and stop trying to stop doing this, turning the knobs in your brain. Just stop trying so hard. Just show up and be awesome. Do the things that feel good, right? Like, that was it. That's the big lesson that I got from Rachel. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. That sounds good. And she crazy. Like, and how am I going to turn that into dollars? How am I going to turn that, like, over and over again? Okay, great. I'll do this. so for me, it was coaching high school cross country, like, which, spoiler alert, that is not where the majority of my income is coming from, right? Like, but it wasn't until, and this is where the magic happens, right? It wasn't until I really leaned into, okay, I'm going to show up and be awesome. I'm going to live in my gifts. I'm going to be in my genius. So for you, I have a client right now, her genius is like being crafty. Like, she likes to make things. And I know, Rachel, you're probably a little bit like that too, right? She likes to remodel her house and redecorate. She likes quilting. She likes to like be on a project and have a finished product. And she was working really hard in a business that didn't have any of that, and was pissed at that business because she was like, I'm going to work really hard in this business until I get it up and running and paying me millions so that I can spend more of my time remodeling my house or making quilts or doing those things. And I was like, pause, do that now. And 1 week, and stuff started shifting quickly. And so I know I've gotten a little off topic in that, but this is what I'm saying is, please come to a lined up level, check it out, spend time with us, because this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be shifting our energy into our too good to be true lives, only to realize they're not too good to be true at all. Like, magic is going to start happening fast. That's what I want to say. And you're a freaking genius.
And I think that's the perfect way to circle this back, because in the beginning we talked about potential isn't not here. If it wasn't real, we wouldn't be able to feel that there's more, right? We would just be bumbling about, right? Using some other marker to find where to go. But we can feel it. It's an inner feeling of, oh, there's more for me. There's more for me. There's something there. And so when you stop trying so hard, you access what's already there. And that's why it's magical, because the synchronicities can happen because it's already there. You don't have to make anything happen. There's nothing to make happen except resistance, right? It's already there. It's already assembled. It's already accessible. If you just say, okay, I stopped fighting it. Okay, I'm ready for it to be easy. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Letting your resistance go is all you need to do.
And so that's what I'm so excited about, is like us doing that together.
Mm-hmm.
Us being in a place together where we can relax into our potential. I mean, what a concept. Like, I remember feeling so long, and I experienced this with so many new clients. I have this image in my head. They're literally busting at the seams with potential. So like, imagining, like you have seams down the side of your body and there's like light energy that's trying to escape. So many of us feel that way, get to that place where there's something big. You don't even know what it is. You kind of know what it would feel like, and you try too hard to make it into something, only to get discouraged, or to like, and Rachel talks about this a lot with me and other people included, right? Like, hey, hold on. Sometimes it's just not ready yet. So like, don't push the river, right? And so this is what we're going to do, is we are going to spend some time together aware of our potential, aware of that, like busting at the seams, and acknowledging that we couldn't feel the bigness of it if it wasn't there. I think that's the thing that most of us do, is we feel the bigness of ourselves, and then we try something, or we go to do something. We kind of run in a direction, and then we contract, and then we have the story that we tell ourselves, which is like, oh, it's not for me, or I'm not good at that, or that was just a dream, right? Like,
yeah.
And
but
yes.
And I know, I love what you're saying, but it's like she's saying, I'm busting at the seams trying to tell you this. It's not the running around. It's the, oh yeah, no, I just made that. Oh, that's not anything. That just came out of me. That's how you do it.
Yes. And that's what we want for you guys, right? Like, I think it's funny because Rachel and I are both coaches. We both help people reach their perceived potential and continue to expand it. That is the magic of the work that we get to do with people, is watching and delighting every step of I'm just there encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting, right? But delighting every step of the way of the magic that is happening. Like, so many of our coaching call conversations turn into just freaking celebrations, like giggle fests, right? Like, can you believe it? And then we're like, yes, we can believe it, but it is still fun to be like, I can't believe it. I don't even know what I was saying about that, except for that that's what we're wanting. We're wanting that for you, right? We want to run alongside you. We want to help you breathe life into your own potential. And then, and then it gets fun. Then relax into the expansion of it. And that's what we're going to be doing for 3 days in a row for the Aligned Up level. We want you to join us.
Yeah. So go watch that video that we have, aligneduplevel.com, and join the event if you want to come and do this more in person. But also, we are starting a live round of our coach and business training starting in 2 weeks. So if you want to check that out, you can go to intuitiveart.com/certification, and then you'll get a virtual tour. But this is the work that we do with people. So we teach this as well, how to help people live their too good to be true life. And I know a lot of people's lockdowns just got renewed or brought back. And so, making money online, it seems like it's going to really help a lot of people out, right? We're not really going back to brick and mortar right now. And I think if companies can't really figure out how to be sustainable in this way, which a lot of them are, they're doing great. But if you're a little bit worried about your situation, or you've just known for a long time that you want to include some kind of, online business in your repertoire of income generating things, then come check us out, because what we do is really amazing, and we do work from our genius zone. That's why we have such an amazing team, because we all have different strengths and we're all there to help you accomplish what you want. So I just want to mention that it's a rare opportunity to get to learn with me live, because usually I record things and you just watch videos. So this is going to be really fun. I love meeting with you guys live. And just a final note, this is not to add scarcity or fear or anything, but we raise our prices a lot, and we're adding more to the program this year. And so we're probably going to raise our price next year. Right now, it's the full pay, I think, is $3,500 for the training for full intuitive art certification and coach training and business integration. You even get private time with me. So if you've been thinking about it, now is definitely the time to jump in. There are more perks than ever before, and the price is still really incredible. So it'll always be really incredible, but it'll probably be higher in the future. All right, that's it for me. We're going to go, and we want you to live into your potential, and that first requires you feeling good. So I hope you feel great for the rest of the day and for on and on. And I hope to see you at the Aligned Up level.
Bye, guys.
Carrie's going to go to practice and help athletes reach their potential.
I do. So I'm going to go do that now.
Thanks, Carrie. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rachel.
Love you. Thanks for coming.